Alright, welcome back. Now, I know a lot of guys have questions regarding the next big update, and today I'll take some time to explain everything as best as I can. Now, let's say the main thing about the next major update is the new region, the Kalevala Expanse. And I would say that's the primary thing that everything is going to revolve around in the next major update, very similar to how Co-op Edge was released. So that would be where I will start. Let me just find where is this little article. This is basically the site where you can find everything regarding the game. There are some things that are only exclusive to the Chinese server, which I'll also get to, but most of the things that you see here will eventually make its way to our international version of the game. So, Kalevala Expanse. Now, this region is very interesting because, based on this text here, it does seem to be very similar to the abyssal space. Now, they said that you will have to have some form of needles, well, the needle jack, in order to basically open a rift and to enter these systems. Which honestly does sound very similar to how you enter abyssal space, where you find Triglavians in EVE Online. Now, obviously, since this is still Dronelands and the Kalevala Expanse, it's just a region from the Dronelands. Obviously, we are not going to fight Triglavians right now, but I can bet that we will have Triglavians sometime down the road. Maybe even next year. It will be very interesting to see how that will go. Now, the way to obtain these needle jacks is still unknown, although I would say maybe you'll be able to purchase them with plaques. That's something that I think might happen. Could they be theoretically obtained with our? Maybe, but I would still lean towards plaques being one of the ways to get it. Of course, I believe there's going to be a third way of obtaining it, maybe via manufacturing, maybe via industry, perhaps even from missions that you can run. Now, the other interesting thing is that, based on this article, it's going to be limited to certain ship tonnage levels. It means that you are not going to be able to just eat any ship in. You will have to have a certain ship for what I suspect is going to be a certain system. So these systems within the Kalevala Expanse might all be exclusive to different tonnages, which again is also quite similar to abyssal space and some of the other contents within EVE Online. So in that regard, I really do think that this is probably going to be very exciting. And also seem like the enemies that you will fight will also be based on a certain ship tonnage level. So let's say the tonnage level is a cruiser, you will be flying a cruiser and your enemies will be up to a cruiser. So you will fight frigates, destroyers and cruisers maximum. There shouldn't be anything above a cruiser. And the same thing can be applied to battleship or frigate or destroyer. So I said this last time, but I would buy at least one ship of each, one frigate, one good frigate, destroyer, cruiser, anything that can be useful, and basically fit them for PvE, because they might have a very nice use for the Kalevala Expanse. Will be interesting to see how this rolls out. The estimated release is somewhere between August and November of this year, so we are already in middle of October. So maybe next week we will see, maybe actually, depending on when I upload this video, next week might be, tomorrow basically. So maybe this week, maybe next week, depends on how they roll things out. I mean, they have released something in the official Discord as well as an announcement that I will just quickly cover here, because I think that's also quite interesting announcements. I can't speak today apparently. Was it in patch notes? No, it's not. I did see it somewhere. I think it was in there it is. Or was it here? Well, my internet doesn't want to load for now. Okay, it's not here. Announcements. Nope. I was certain that oh yeah, I know where I saw it. It wasn't on the Discord. It was on the official.
Enemy ships detected.
On their website. Took me a moment to remember where I saw that. My apologies for the weird delay here. So they did release some of the basically a rundown version of the original text over here, which can be easier to basically read and easier to follow. This is the official website. The link for both will be in the description below. I know that I forgot to mention where the site, the link of the site. I know I forgot to include that last time. I apologize for that. No, there was also a thing regarding all the rewards that I think it's currently exclusive to one of the tests that are currently ongoing, although not for our version, but I'll come to that a bit later. So there we go, Needlejacks, Waycirc and enhancement. Basically drone sites. You will be able to fight drones there. The one thing that I will definitely look forward to, I look forward to see those drones a bit, changed. Since we all know these drones are nasty. We have been to Cobalt Edge. We have had one of the recent events where you were able to fight these drones all around New Eden in special anomalies. And you all know that these things are nasty, they're very dangerous. So if they are going to include a different tonnage level for basically different scenarios for different ships, then the difficulty level of the drones should also be kind of balanced out in order to, make it easier for the ship class to actually run them. Because I know from my experience and from our players' experiences that the current drones are nasty. So you really would have to have a very, very, very tanky cruiser or a sniper battleship is basically the way that I was running the new sites. But if they are going to include different tonnage levels, then I would expect them to actually tweak out the difficulty for all of these things. Now the balance patch basically should also arrive somewhere between October and November. That's also one question that players asked me a lot. When is it going to be the balance patch? The details of the balance patch is still not released. What can we expect to see changed? Well, one of the things that I expect to see changed is the passive shield recharge. I believe that they will further buff the passive shield recharge on the new ships, on the navies, on the special cruisers. And I also have that feeling that they will buff the passive shield recharge on all ships. Now, I also expect to see the passive shield recharge be much better on the navies, on the navy battleships, frigates, and on the faction cruisers than the passive shield recharge on the other ships. At least that's where things are going. Or perhaps they just buff everything and maybe they'll be evened out. But in that case, the navies and the special cruisers would kind of lose their speciality, since they are the only ships right now that have the really good shield recharge. Frigates have the best passive shield recharge. I think it's like 600 seconds or something. Very, very could be better, of course. Always can be better, but it's nice that they have changed it. Now they also mentioned something about new modules, new items, and things like that. And that makes me kind of excited because the current rigs that we're missing. I mean, if we look at modules, we are missing the capacitor boosters. The capacitor boosters would be definitely different from the capacitor batteries, because the boosters in this game, I believe they would run on different fuel, or different fuel, or they'll be using batteries as charge. So that's one of the modules that I personally expect to see introduced within the next update. Well, within the next couple of months, I would say. Would make a lot of active tanks even better. Now, as for the tanking parts, maybe they will add some of the passive adaptive hardeners. Basically, a passive module that you fit, and it just passively increases the resistance. Doesn't have to be turned on, and it's only focused on one damage type. I would also love to see that, because well, I say I would love to see that. It's something that's missing in the game. We have that module in EVE Online, and it's actively being used. Currently in the game we only have like adaptive armor harness and reactive armor harness, and they're all active modules. We don't have a single hardener that's focused on one damage type, and I'm definitely looking forward to see those modules added. I just have the feeling that that's going to be introduced into the game. Now, as for the rigs, as I mentioned before, a passive shield recharge rig is going to be very helpful, and maybe some of the tracking rigs for cannons, since I believe we don't have any tracking rig for cannons, or I think we don't have any tracking rig in general in the game at the moment. So that's one thing that will be nice to be added. And I believe there's going to be some of the other various modules that I will not mention here because I simply forget. There's just a lot of rigs in online to mention here, but you can expect more and more of these things to be added over here as well. As for the new ships, now when I'm talking about new ships, we have received new frigates. We have received new navies, both frigates and big ships like battleships. We have received special cruisers. Now, a while ago, I remember someone sharing something with me regarding a leak, although not technically a leak, but someone went in and pulled out game assets from the game, and they found, I believe, tier 3 destroyers. Now, so far we seem to have a certain, let's say, dynamic here in the game. That's with adding new ships. Up until I think a couple months ago, they only have been adding big ships, capital ships, but recently they started to add the small ones, and we have received everything besides new battlecruisers and new destroyers. So I like to say that based on the supposed leak, although it's not technically a leak, but it's something that's been pulled out of the game. So technically, the destroyers, the assets are already in the application, in the game, but we just don't have access to them. So I would say I'm just making a bold guess here. It doesn't have to mean that's going to be the next thing, but based on my experience, based on the current track record that we see, I certainly believe that we are going to get Tech 3 destroyers in the next couple months, or any type of special ship that's going to be a destroyer. Which kind of does make sense, since if they're going to add content with that's going to be specialized for different tonnage, for different ships, basically, for frigates, destroyers, cruisers, battlecruisers, battleships, and so on, it just makes sense that they will add new ships that can go along with that new content that's going to be added. So I say the destroyers are the next ship class that's going to be added in the game. Now, I don't know how many. I would say 4, because that's usually what we are seeing so far. 4 or 5 ships are being added with every new ship patch, basically. With the exception when they added the navies, they basically added like, I think they had like 6 or 7 new ships, something like that. There was a lot of ships added back then. So I believe that the destroyers are the next thing to be added. Now, not navy destroyers. We already have navies in the game. Navy Thrasher, they already exist, and they're okay ships. So if they can't, I mean, they can kind of rework them, but that's not technically adding new ships. So if they do something destroyer-wise, it will be something like a Tech 3 destroyer, or maybe the tier 2 destroyers, like the Bifrost. Although technically the Bifrost and the other tier 2 destroyers, or Tech 2 destroyers, are already in the game, since the assault destroyers, the Tech 10 assault destroyers, are made to be very similar to EVE Online tier 2 ships. So I would say we already have the models of these ships in the game, but that means that the Tech 3 destroyers are going to be added next. That's just what I think, and that's just my my guess. firmly believe will happen. And so far, honestly, I have been very accurate, so there's a good chance that that's going to happen. If not the source, then the Navy battlecruisers, they will also come in the game at one point. No, they also talk about a new nanocore. They're making a new one, or should I say, they're gathering ideas for a new one. I jokingly said that it's going to be another anime nanocore, but I don't think that's going to happen. Or actually, it might happen. It was quite popular. Players loved it, so maybe another new anime nanocore will be added. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say no. If I like it, I'll buy it. It's as simple as that. If I don't like it, I don't touch it. It's as simple as that. And there's also some events. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of the events. Depending on the event, honestly. If there's content within the event, it's okay. But it's only if it's only a sword, and yeah, I usually just ignore that. But new technology, upgrades, buildings, new ships. Someone mentioned Titans. Titans are not coming there anytime soon. Titans are maybe in April or May of next year, but I don't think Titans will be around the corner anytime soon. They have been postponed for the future, which I'm okay with. I would like to have new space instead of having Titans at the moment. So I think that will be it for this whole page. I think I mentioned most of the questions that have been asked for the for this little thing. Let me just go back to their site. I think it's this one. Yeah, it is. Okay. Let me just translate the whole thing. Now, a lot of players have told me with concern that they're concerned about the Voyage plan, and honestly, I see why. Now, this is, thankfully, I'm actually very glad that this didn't make its way to our international version, because I don't know what to think about this. I mean, I've been trying to be as honest as possible about this. I kind of, like the attempt. I like the attempt and, the idea, but I'm not really a fan of how it currently looks. Now, this is basically this new Voyage mode, or whatever it's called. From what I've heard, from what I've gathered, it's a different mode within the game, where it's basically a game within a game. If Eve was a, let's say, a arcade shooter or something like that, that's basically what I gather here. And I mean, as a standalone separate game, go ahead. A separate standalone game, I'm okay with that. But if they, my worry about this was that they're going to just force this upon the whole game. Thankfully, that's not the case, so don't have to worry about that. They're not like forcing this whole thing, and they're not changing the whole map just for this update. It's basically a game within a game. They're testing it out, and so far, based on the comments over here, players really don't like it. And I can see why. It feels weird, honestly. Like it's a completely different game within the game. So I don't know what they'll do with this down the road. Is it going to be implemented? No idea. If it does get implemented, then they sure as hell have to change a lot of fucking things if they want to get this into the game. But the comments, I mean, I don't know how accurate the translation here is. I would say it's generally 60% accurate, but most of what I'm seeing here, players aren't really happy with it. And yeah, there we go. How to download international? Like one of the things I've seen here, players are swarming to the international server when they saw this in their version, which is kind of funny. Means we will get more players, and based on the response, I don't think that they will implement this based on the response. That's what I think. But I mean, the mechanics are kind of interesting, and it's not. I mean, it has some interesting mechanics, like the blueprints and stuff. Very similar to some EVE Online things here. The map being changed. I don't know about the map. I need to find a picture somewhere. It really seems like the picture that I've shared with one of the EVE Online updates that they made like a year ago, and that's basically what they're doing now with over here with this server here. So I figured out that was quite interesting because they made the round map. I really have to find where was that video. I forgot. That was a long time ago when they made that, but that was a very interesting change for EVE Online. That's only for the Chinese version of the game. So don't really think that they will be launching this in our version. Now, driving mode. Last time I said that the driving mode is something like a performance mode. That was wrong. That was plainly wrong. The driving mode is basically transforming, or basically should I say, making you fly your ship in a arcade mode, where it is very similar to, let's say, if you're playing Star Conflict, it's basically like played like that, like third-person shooter basically with ships. And this would be the UI. Now, the UI here, as many have mentioned, it's weird. It's hella weird. You have the radar or whatever that is on the left, or maybe that's how you maneuver the ship around. I have no idea. I would say that's the radar. The thing that pissed me off the most is the fact that they have completely, like, they took out the shield armor whole thing and just added like on the side. It looks nice, but I still prefer the traditional EVE look. And the thing that I find to be the interesting part is when you look at the missile, it has like this 10 like on screen. I have no idea if this is ammo. Maybe 10 missiles. Like the good thing is about this thing, maybe you have to manufacture ammo, and maybe you have to reload the ship, and maybe you have to carry ammo within the ship's cargo hold bay. So that's something that I would add to our current version, ammo. I would add ammo to our game, but I would still keep my UI. I wouldn't be using this. It looks kind of weird. If it was a, let's say, third-person shooter or something like that, I would be down to have. I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong, it looks good, but I don't really prefer to have this on a strategy game. To be honest, it's good for an arcade game, but not for a strategy game. And the ship. And here we go to the bad part. Now, I try to keep my personal feelings out of everything when I'm explaining things, because, you know, personal bias is something that I don't want to add. What I think is one thing, but what I'm trying to cover things as they are. Now, based on the text and based on what players told me, this is basically, it has a gacha system. Now, I know, I'm not a fan of that. No one is a fan of that. Different, like, SSR ships and stuff, it's ridiculous. Not gonna lie. It sounds funny, but that's basically what this is. Gacha ships. Now, I don't know the exact like drop rates and stuff. I haven't found any info on that, but some players told me it's good, some players told me it's bad. It's still a gacha. I'm not really a fan of that, and I think that most of players aren't really a fan of that. The subscription model should be the way it is with packs and stuff. It should not have any gacha things inside. But that's just how it looks. And again, this is why it's actually good that this hasn't been added to the international server, because it isn't, you know, not good. It's not good in that aspect. There are things that I like, but there are also things that I don't like, and there are good things and there are bad things. So I mean, just reading the comments, just it's self-explanatory. So yeah, and you can sort most popular or latest. Let's see. I'm just curious to see what's pull and pull again and again. Yikes. Plan to death. End of net is Disney games for plan to death. Okay. New games are built in and there is no version number. Okay. Do anything for the year end bonus. I came out with a lot of shit, thinking that if I didn't play CFMers I wouldn't. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh man. Yep, they are not happy. They are not happy. So based on what I'm seeing here, I don't think that they will be adding this. Maybe a standalone game, but I don't know. It's if I have to describe this new mode in, let's say, the simplest manner, the simplest possible way, I would say this is very similar to Infinite Lagrange strategy builder. I'm not pretty sure what's the exact game. Let's call it just a strategy game. I know you can build ships, you can build structure stations and stuff like that. I don't really play that game. I just looked at this description and stuff, looked at some gameplay, but it's not really something that I like. It has a gacha system as well. So players have described this as Eve Lagrange. That's how they have described this, and I don't know. I mean, we will see what they will do. I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on this thing because it is a very interesting development. Now, what players are mostly. Let's just summarize the. I can't speak today. My apologies for that. But let's just summarize the most important things that we should be excited about. That's going to be coming in August to November, as they said. The new region, which is very similar to the abyssal space, that's what I'm personally hyped, because if it is what I think it is, then I have something more to do. I mean, it is more things to do, game becomes fresh again. That's I think one of the more important things, and it's going to be, and it's, if done right, it can be very fun, and I'm all in for that. I am all in for that. The other important thing is new ships. What could they be? My guess is Tech 3 destroyers, or if not Tech 2 destroyers, maybe Navy battlecruisers. Both are fine because both have been requested by the player base. Tech 3 cruisers will also arrive probably at one point, although we have already received cruisers, so I don't really think that a cruiser-sized ship is going to be next. If we're following their footsteps, if we're following what they have been doing, they had bit of this, bit of that, bit of this, bit of that. So the next thing is something destroy or battlecruiser. Now, does it have to be that way? It doesn't have to be that way. Could be Tech 3 cruisers next, so that's also a possibility. But based on the current track record, I would say destroyers or battlecruisers. That's the next thing to be excited about. Now, one thing that I kind of forgot to talk about, I'll just quickly mention it near the end here. High-sec wormholes. High-sec wormholes are actually released now on the Chinese version, at least that's what I've been told. So high-sec wormholes will probably also arrive very soon. And why is that so important? It's actually a very important thing, because if anything, it will make travel a lot easier. And it will make the drone lands more accessible. So, also a very nice thing. Now, if are wormholes going to connect the Kalevala Expanse to the other regions in space? That's a very good question. That's actually a very good question that I'm not really sure how to answer, because I personally think that there will be wormholes that will connect Kalevala Expanse to New Eden. But at the same time, if they decide to make the Kalevala Expanse something only accessible via these needle jacks, then there is going to be no wormholes leading to the new drone region. So it's definitely a very interesting thing, because if that's the case, how are you then supposed to actually claim sovereignty in the new region? How are you going to get there? How are you going to put ships there? How are you going to put transport ships, freighters, dreadnoughts, super capitals, battleships? How are these ships going to travel there? If there is also a limit to the ship tonnage that you can bring there. It's a very interesting thing, because when you think about that, then it's probably going to be a space that you can't really claim that easily. Or maybe you have to find a certain system that allows you to basically enter with certain ships that can carry all these modules, and then you can unload and inhabit them. I personally think it's a very interesting thing. Every drone region so far that's been released was different, and every one of these systems has its own thing, which is interesting because it seems like they're using the drone lands as a form of testing ground. And I said that I'm totally fine with that because it means that every new added region is going to be its own story, basically, its own thing, and that's kind of exciting, to be honest. So definitely looking forward to see what they do with the Kalevala Expanse. And also been asked about wormholes, the actual wormhole space. No new info on that so far, but we know that they're working on them, and there is no real update on that front at the moment. I'm pretty sure that they're working on that all day long, so we should be hearing more about actual wormhole space. If it goes, I'll just make a quick guess here. If everything goes according to plan, maybe end of November we will start hearing about the actual wormhole space. That's just how things are going, and that is if they start to open up multiple drone regions per update. I have to actually go and count how many constellations we have within the drone lands. I have to double check that because we can kind of calculate the estimated time of arrival of wormhole space based on how many star systems we have in the drone lands. So I think that based on that we can actually get to the actual date here. So that will be it for today. I just wanted to cover some of the more asked questions that have been asked, and I really hope that I could answer as much as possible. Hope that I was able to explain as much as possible, since honestly this is kind of, you know, there's a lot of things to grasp, and I understand that there is a lot of things that have to be taken in. I usually go slowly, take it slowly, but we will see what they'll do. The next maintenance is scheduled in 4 days from now, so, or 3 days, depending on when the video is out. So we will see what they'll do. That's all I'll say here. So with that being said, if you guys want more of these updates, if you guys want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, play safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.